Hey folks, it's Echo here. I've got an amazing treat for you today. We're going to be looking at all the bases on my community server Season 12, and I have to say I was blown away by some of the creativity here, so I'm excited to show these off to you. We've got horde bases, crafting bases, combo bases, community bases. If you're looking for a little inspiration, enjoy. The first base we have up is the mountain designed by Nightly Demon. One of my favorite aspects of base design is building a base into the environment, and this one makes perfect use of it. Also, this base was partially inspired by Pseudoposse. There's a lot of block usage here in terms of the research that Pseudoposse did to kind of force zombies to fall down into the pit below. The zombies basically just attempt to traverse this jungle gym and then fall down to the bottom of the pit, where they have to go through a set of stairs to come back up. All the while, there's all these cellar doors that are placed at an angle on the side so that you can huck grenades down, shoot down at them, and just basically massacre them as they're stuck below. As you can tell, Nightly Demon never got to completely finish out the vision, but even seeing it in its current incarnation is absolutely brilliant. This one has me motivated to try to build on top of Mountaintop for one of my next builds, but then there's also this tricky thing where zombies dig, so he did have to put a tunnel out the back. You never know with Zeds. The zombie grinder designed by Red Knight. Oh my gosh, this is one of the most creative designs that I've seen. So the inspiration for this was like a space excavator where you've got this huge auger coming down from the center bit of it. There's so many RP elements. He's got this cockpit that got designed up in the front. You've got soldiers standing all around, and there's so many little details there. So one of my favorite things about this build were the treads, which were absolutely creative and act as the pathway for zombies to come in. And to add one more layer of detail, he also added these grooves where the treads had previously gone. On top of the base, we have a small garden and a few dew collectors. And then on the front of the base, he added this huge tiller, so if the excavator had to move forward, it would clear the space in front. I love how creative this base is while also being a functioning horde base. You can see they move up those treads and then make their way up to the red stairs where they're greeted with 3 electric fences. For redundancy, you've got that repeated on the other side, and on the back side of the base, you have your ladders coming in. The boombox by Malicious takes a lot from Pseudoposse. The base is surrounded by force field blocks with holes cut underneath. If you're unfamiliar, this mechanic will force the zombies to go around this and come to the front of the base. The approach leverage is that design by Pseudoposse drops the zombies down below here where you've got a host of SMG turrets, as well as dropping the zombies through electric fences. The other nice thing about this design is you've got access to all these to be able to repair during Horde Night, and you can basically just sit up top and huck grenades and shoot down at the zombies with no risk to yourself at all. On top of the base, we've got a few more turrets just to protect from birds, and otherwise you can kind of just snooze through the horde and let all the turrets do the work for you. In the top of the base, we've got a little bit of crafting area with a few containers and some stations. So you don't always have to have a massive base, and so here we have the crafting cube done by Root Beer. There's no horde elements to this one, but he's created an elevated platform where he can have all of his crafting stuff safe from the horde, and he did run into screamer issues, so he ended up putting turrets along the bottom. On the inside, you can see this thing is just jam-packed with storage, workstations, and all the goodies. Outside, he's got a pretty substantial garden that he's put in some stonework around the outside just to kind of frame it and make it look nice. Rather than packing more in the base, he actually put his solar collectors outside underground, and then he threw some dew collectors on the roof. Next up, we've got Cat Scratch Tower by Chessa. One of the craziest things about this build is this insane road that goes up the side. When Chessa started building this, there was no way to get on top of this mountain, but now there's both vehicle paths as well as a gyrocopter landing pad on the top. In terms of design, this was modeled after Cautious Pancake's Wizard Tower, but as Chessa put it, it's on steroids. One of the other great features that she added is that this is built to be used with stun batons. The whole reason the garage doors are there are so that you can launch zombies out of them. In addition to the horde fighting areas, Chessa added in a lot of great living space, and I love all the decorations. You've got these views out into the snow, and then you've got these cozy little rooms like this where there's a couch upstairs and a desk. You've got another room here with exercise equipment looking outward. You've got a kitchen. Again, every single room in here has an incredible view. Also, there's little details like this sauna room, as well as the jacuzzi, which again gives you this gorgeous view out into the snow. Lastly, you've got each side of the tower that's adorned by this cat face that she put together, which is just brilliant. So overall, this is just a great example of a combined horde and crafting base. Next up we have the Refuge put together here by Rookie, and I always love Rookie's builds. There's just something otherworldly about this one. Specifically, I really like the use of textures that Rookie's got here. He's got a lot of patchwork type stuff, making it look repaired over time. Then when you get inside, it just feels homey, like a place you'd want to spend time in. There's this couch set up in front of the TV with books everywhere. There's a kitchen with just a stunning view of the sunrise/sunset. And then there's the detail on like the decorative block on the floor to get that interesting tile pattern. And then we shift over to the bedroom where you've got these warm, subdued tones. There's this kind of alcove area that intersects everything that leads up to the rooftop. And everything about this build just screams environmental storytelling. Like the chair sitting here with the cooler looking out into the distance. Without ever saying a word, I feel like this base has an entire story behind it. The Stumble Stronghold by Tweedledee has a whole lot of elements going on here. I feel like it's a switchback on steroids because it's got these big chunky stairs going up, and then that leads up to a pseudoposse style bridge across where it forces the zombies to kind of dump. And then to break up the use of all the cubes, he's got a lot of these 3D truss blocks throughout, which gives kind of an open view perspective, especially once we look into the crafting area. You can see the zombies will come up, double back, and then they'll kind of fall through there. Inside, he's got a little bit of decoration here, some crafting stations, and a lot of storage. Inside the zombie corridor, he made use of some of those 4-way pole blocks that people have been using a lot. So overall, very solid base. Next up, we've got the Punchy Posse by Ravendawn. This brilliant horde base here will be our last nod to Pseudoposse, who has clearly had a huge influence on the server. I absolutely love the structure that Raven has built underneath the fighting position, and then he's got stairs that basically lead up. This paint job is really sharp. So the zombies will come up here, then they'll cut a 90 degree, and then cut one more 90 degree where they funnel into the tunnel here, which has got those 4-way pole blocks on the bottom, and then that tapered hourglass design on the sides to force the zombies to fall through. At the end, there's an electric fence, and the name Punchy Posse came from Raven leveraging fists this season to be able to knock them back into the holes. Overall, awesome standalone horde base and great color palette here. Next up, we've got Union HQ, and this one was built by Team Union. This one was a POI makeover that is almost unrecognizable from the original POI. They've walled off the whole area around it and then added in this amazing garden on the backside. There are so many great little details here, from the hanging plants to the intricate paint job to the UN on the walls. And then they added in this table with all the community members here, which I thought was just a really nice touch. In the central part of the building, we've got a number of different living quarters here. We've got some along the side, then we've got Little Red Sonia's cupboard under the stairs, and there's a spiral staircase that goes up leading to all the different levels. They've got some lounge areas like this. Then they also have this huge crafting room with tons of boxes, and then they put signs on the wall to leave directions and information on things that they need. On the front of the base, they added this small horde section just to deal with the screamer hordes that occur. And then at the very top of the base, they have this kind of air traffic control tower that sits on top of the garden area, which also doubles as a gyrocopter landing pad. Next, we've got the cutest little crafting base called the Vault Nightclub, designed by Little Red Sonia. Outside, you've got this really unique garden format that I've never seen before using security gates. But the real magic of this base is once the night hits. Because man, when you light this thing up, it is stunning and otherworldly in a certain sense. So inside here, we've got mannequins everywhere. We've got a dancing zombie in the center. We've got the bar set up here with cold beer and the countertops. Just so much little detail and attention. We've got a singer here playing for the folks outside on the patio area with a second bar and cash registers and everything else set up. In the top level of the base, we've got kind of this VIP lounge that's all cozy. And then tucked in that little door to the left there is all the crafting in one small little room. There's an amazing amount of little details in here and a great usage of this kind of circular space that I would have never thought of. So if you find yourself stuck in a zombie apocalypse, I recommend getting your VIP card and going to visit the vault. Sometimes you just need a peaceful break away from the horde, and Bennu Oban has recaptured this cabin and fixed it up. This little piece of solace is just tucked away in the forest biome, And she's added in some really nice gardens in the back with a picket fence here wrapping around, as well as a place for dew collectors and an outdoor campfire setup. On the inside, everything is nice and cozy. She tried to leave the general integrity of the cabin intact while fixing everything up. And then in terms of crafting, she managed to create this amazing little attic nook that had everything packed in that she could need. So for Benu's first renovation in 7 Days to Die, I would say this was a pretty solid job. Not gonna lie, I could use a few weeks at this cabin. This brings us to our final build designed by Mute and Red Knight, the Sleeping Sentinel, named after those two huge red eyes on the front of the base that as you approach the base and they light up, it looks as if the base is coming awake. Surrounding the base is a massive pit with multiple ways that they route the zombies out of there, and that brings them up to multiple fighting positions. And it also makes a lot of use out of those cellar doors. Once again, that's very thematic for the bases that I've seen on the server this season that allow for rocket launchers, grenades, shooting down anything that you need to. Because of all the different pathing options, you can really have a large number of people fight the horde and all get to be engaged in the battle. Here's a quick view of the interior base, and you can see a lot of these bookshelf blocks that are flipped in interesting angles because you can paint the sides and the center separate. You also get some interesting views on this base because it straddles the snow and the wasteland biomes. So as we spin around it, you'll see we pivot from that yellow hue of the wasteland to the white of the snow biome. This is an absolutely stunning base, and I can't wait to steal some ideas from it. Hey folks, it's Echo here. I hope that you all were inspired by some of those bases like I was. I know there's quite a bit there I'm looking forward to beg, borrow, and steal from, but as always, a huge thanks to all my supporters over here. I will see everyone in the next video. Take care. Echo's out.